Venom 2 made over $600 million at the box office.
Oh, gee. It's almost like people who aren't me go to see movies too, and I have to say I don't relate to that. What is that? I don't get it.
Now that summer is officially over, the film industry is finally heading into awards season. This year, the stakes are even higher because Louis and I are competing in Vulture's Movie Fantasy League to determine which pop culture podcasters are the best in the biz. So, we're going to get into our draft picks and the rest of the films on the awards radar.
I just want to say that making predictions is the one thing you would think I would love doing, and it is purely anxiety producing for me. It's like, you know what it's like when you give an answer on Family Feud and you are humiliated to get it wrong, and if you get it right, you are merely relieved. Like there's no true upside to doing well.
Oh, please. I mean, that is a recurring nightmare that I've had. I feel like it's only funny now because Steve Harvey hosts Family Feud. Like if you say a bad answer, it's going to be funny.
Yeah. Yes. No.
Because
he's lightened it a little
joke
bit
with you.
Yeah. No. But once upon a time, Richard Dawson, like he would. I think he would. First of all, he would kiss your wife, and then if your answers were terrible, he would simply steal your wife. That would be the end of it. I'm concerned about losing my wife. I don't know if you've heard. Okay.
Let me pull up my picks and my movie roster. I sort of don't know what the hell I was doing here.
Me neither. I have to say.
Because the thing about the roster was we had $100 to spend. Some movies were more expensive than others, and you sort of had to pick films that you thought were going to make money and you thought were going to get Oscar buzz as well. Or other award season buzz.
So there's like a weighted system based on what will get you points based on what movies you choose. Like certain movies, if they make a certain amount of money, I think you get more points for that. If they get Oscar buzz like that, there's a whole point system involved. So you have to weigh a little bit the commercial and the critical to have a reasonable slate of movies in this bracket thing. I will say, looking at these list of movies, I am lightly depressed that the two kind of most important movies of the season are both sequels. That Gladiator 2 and Dune 2 are like what we care about the most. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't a contingent of that every year. You know, there's always an Avatar: The Way of Water or Top Gun: Maverick or something major that's a sequel to something else that like enters into the Oscars conversation. But I just don't know how much I'm itching for Gladiator 2. I know that's like the guy movie of all time. You are?
I'm so fucking all in for that movie. And I actually need to revisit the original Gladiator because I remember not particularly loving it, maybe just to be a contrarian in high school. But Gladiator 2, Paul.
Yeah.
Denzel with the hoop earring, baby. I am so fucking on board for this movie. Are you kidding me? I am ready for Gladiator 2. I just got a confirmation for a screening in 2 weeks. I am seated. I'm already at the theater.
I just feel like Paul Mescal is meant to be in morsels of movies. You know, one where like you can peer into his like large Irish eyes and like deduce like grief or inner life, whatever. Whereas in this one, does he really have the power to, I mean, obviously he was cast for the movie, but I question whether he can be the center of something rowdy.
Okay. Listen, I think that he has one of the rare pair of Irish eyes that are never smiling. So, you know, I think that he could do it.
Yeah, Saoirse, I would say there's like a light frown to her eyes too. Actually, the Irish may be morose. Who knows? Who knows?
You know what? Gladiator 2 and Dune 2 did not make my
Me neither.
For the yeah.
I went right to Anora for mine, which is the new movie from Sean Baker, who did the Florida Project and Tangerine and the Fabulous Red Rocket, which I really enjoyed. So we had Simon Rex on the show, and he should have been a Best Actor nominee that year. Anora stars Mikey Madison, who you know best from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Scream 5, where, spoiler, she is set on fire in both of them.
Welcome to the third act.
Yeah. And she's front and center in this movie. I've never seen her star in a movie before. And whenever something like that happens, you know, when like, this is what's coming to mind, Rosamund Pike suddenly gets Gone Girl, you're like, well, then this must be fucking amazing if this new person gets to be this center of a role.
Also, where's Rosamund Pike been?
I know. She was in that I Care a Lot movie, which I didn't care a lot for. And now I am missing her.
She's in movie jail
You think so?
after that, which probably makes sense.
She won a Golden Globe for that, I believe. It was the Pandemic Globes. We were at our lowest, fat, nasty, and broke.
They were just handing those out in Lamert Park, okay?
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you could go to the Pacific Design Center, they would just like throw a couple at you.
My first pick was Wicked.
Which I'm now hearing very good things about. We'll see. But why did you go for Wicked?
I think that Wicked has the potential to get some Oscar and Globe nominations, definitely. But I also think that Wicked is going to make a shit ton of money.
I question that because, as you know, it's a musical, which I'm just looking at the survey forms movie goers have filled out for the past 3 years or whatever, and it turns out we hate that. So I'm dubious about whether or not people are going to go see this movie, and also because it's the first of 2 movies, which has simply never been done with a musical before. And I wonder if like people are worried they're not going to get the songs they want. Like you don't get to hear For Good in part 1 of Wicked, right? So, but honestly, I would believe anything. And obviously Ariana Grande is on this press tour and deeply, my least favorite word, likable at every turn. That lie detector test she does with Cynthia Erivo, I was laughing. I was cackling at these girls.
Yeah, they should have asked her, Ariana, why are you white now?
You can't ask a Floridian why they're white now.
I want black Ariana back, okay?
She is arguably at her whitest now, I do have to say. You're right. These songs...
She's translucent, okay? I love her. I love her down, okay? But, like, the Ghostbusters have been called.
Where's my light-skinned black woman?
Okay, I mean, you look at old videos of her, and she was giving Honey Daniels down. Okay, Ariana used to teach hip hop at the center.
Oh God. Oh, you're right.
She wore FUBU.
How long do we have till that movie?
It's Thanksgiving.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Also, you get the third or only the second big movie I've seen Michelle Yeoh in since her Oscar win. She was in A Haunting in Venice with Kenneth Branagh and Tina Fey, in which she was in that movie for like 7 minutes. So I'm looking forward to her next big act. Mind you, she's like one of the richest people who's ever lived or something, thanks to that husband. So I'm not worried about her. I'm
She's
just
fine.
saying. Yeah, right.
Okay, so I also picked Amelia Perez.
The Cannes winner for Best Actress, those 3 actresses, including comedian Selena Gomez. Yes.
So I picked this movie mostly because a lot of people are sort of declaring that its trans characters are kind of bad, and it might be giving the new Crash, and it might be giving sort of like Green Book, and I'm like, oh, then it's definitely getting an Oscar nomination.
That's exactly the level we get in on. Oh, it's blunt force? Oh, you can't not miss the point of the movie? This movie is about the fearsome cartel leader Amelia, played by Carla Sofia Gascon, who enlists Rita, Zoe Saldana. I guess that would be Saldana. She has an Enye over the N. You never hear that. An underappreciated lawyer stuck in a dead-end job to help fake her death so that Amelia can live authentically as her true self. Aha. This musical odyssey follows the journey of 4 remarkable women in Mexico, each pursuing their own happiness. I mean, based on that description, it should be the movie I want to win Best Picture. That said, I was, I believe, almost physically hurt by my own hand when Green Book won.
You know, I'm just basing it off of general Oscar vibes, you know?
Okay, yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you. You're keeping me safe as far as I'm concerned.
So as far as moneymakers, I picked Smile 2 and Venom: The Last Dance.
And what do you hope to get out of those? And also just this life in general.
A lot of money. The last 2 Venom movies, which I actually did really enjoy, they made so much money. Venom 2 made over $600 million at the box office.
Oh, wow. So it's almost like people who aren't me go to see movies too, and I have to say I don't relate to that. What is that? I don't get it. Among the movies I picked, this Wild Robot movie, people seem to be obsessed with it.
Yeah, I need to see it. People are weeping in the theater. Someone had a tweet about how they were staying outside the theater to talk about the movie with random people after it was over. So it's a hot movie right now.
Okay. Also, don't come up to me after a movie. I'm in my own head. I'm not here to discuss with you what happened at the movie. Whatever. I also went with The Piano Lesson because I feel like one of the stars of The Piano Lesson. This is the August Wilson adaptation, one of his 10 Pittsburgh Psycho plays. This is one that has sort of paranormal energy. I saw a production in college, which was very thrilling. But yes, Danielle Deadweiler shafted from the movie Till. Also, again, that performance, not only should she have gotten an Oscar, she should have gotten like medical compensation. Like it was so gruesome to have to watch her go through that movie. I love the role she plays in this play. It's a very powerful performance. I'm hearing really good things about this movie. Could be the definitive August Wilson adaptation yet. And I, by the way, stan Fences. I thought Fences was an awesome movie.
I did too. I felt that the criticisms of Fences where people said it just took the play and just filmed it and didn't really sort of make it cinematic. I didn't really like those because I felt that the whole idea of the show is that you feel fenced in. It's supposed to be claustrophobic. I love Fences.
No, yeah, exactly. Like that small space is the entire world of that play. It's not like, I don't know if you've ever seen Vanya on 42nd Street, which was this movie from the early 90s where Julianne Moore's in it, but they basically just stage Uncle Vanya in front of you for an hour and a half. That upset me. That I don't want to be looking at like that. Like, I don't know why they did that. It's the people who did My Dinner with Andre. But in Fences, no, you're very taken by the world in its small scale nature.
It more reminds me of the bricks in the building in The Women of Brewster Place, for instance.
Yes. A movie that does not comp as often as you think it was based on the people who are in that movie.
So I also picked Mufasa, the Lion King.
Oh, if you want some money, you got to get into the Lion King train. I mean, I am blown away to realize that live action Lion King from last time is like one of the most profitable nouns in the history of Earth.
Also, Barry Jenkins directed it, so there is a chance that Barry could get a nomination for this.
By the way, can we just get a documentary about Barry Jenkins making Mufasa? I can't even picture it. It's like not his vibe at all. I don't believe. Did you put a complete unknown on yours? Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan?
I did not.
I don't think
give a fuck
I did
about
either.
Bob Dylan.
You know what? It's not that I don't give a fuck about Bob Dylan. I'm just thinking if Timothy Chalamet transformed into somebody else, like actually disappears into the character of Bob Dylan, that would kind of surprise me. You know, just like that's not what he's done previously. Like most of his roles are like him kind of unearthing a sensitive or sometimes grisly part of who he is as a performer. It's not really about imitating others. He's not like these like Kate Blanchett people who kind of can just pick up the 100,000 mannerisms of a completely separate person and then adopt them. But I've been wrong before. We'll see.
No, I have Baby Girl on the list, though.
Well, let me say something about Nicole. Other than that fucking Perfect Couple show, which I'm still mad at her for, and I think she was miscast in, the girl does not miss and cares about good prestige. A movie I hated that she was in, that I thought she was still great in, is Lion. Like, she will find a way to bring a fabulous depth to something where it does not exist.
Yes. Now, this was also before I saw Baby Girl, which I
you
did
saw it?
enjoy.
Okay.
I saw it. I did enjoy it. We'll talk more about it when it's released, but I did not love it. She, however, is fucking locked in from the beginning. From the first second till from the second it starts till the second it ends, Nicole Kidman fucking grabs you by the neck and does not let go.
Well, the quote she's been giving about this movie, the woman seemed possessed by the film. You know, she was like that's just something you have to give yourself over to entirely, and that's how I feel about Mr. Harris Dickinson. So I mean, got it.
He's great in the film. Antonio Banderas is actually really sort of great in the film, too.
I'm not over him in fucking Pain and Glory. Talk about another movie people don't bring up anymore. He was fucking amazing in that movie.
My favorite performance of his, actually, I think.
Totally.
And yeah, beautiful, beautiful film. And maybe one of Almodovar's best.
I definitely threw it down for Conclave, the new Ralph Fiennes movie, because I fucking ride or die for fucking Ralph Fiennes. Quiz Show is one of my favorite movies about the quiz show scandals of the 50s, where he plays disgraced academic come game show contestant Charles Van Doren. Obviously, he's bone-chilling in Schindler's List. Lovely in The End of the Affair. He was so good in The Menu, a movie I hate. Him and Janet McTeer, you were saved. Everybody else, Your upper elimination. But
Would you say that he's your male Cate Blanchett?
Yeah, him or Jeremy Irons. And I will say, though, Jeremy Irons, though, will upset me with a quote in an interview. Rafe has not done that yet. Okay, Conclave. Cardinal Lawrence, tasked with organizing the election of the successor to the deceased pope, discovers the former pope had a secret that must be uncovered concerning one or more of the candidates to succeed to the papacy. I've got the papacy seems to have secrets in it. I don't know if you've been aware of this over time, but it's one of these movies about that subject. And I love when he brings austerity to a movie. I'm just so drawn in by that. Not a lot of actors, I think, make stoniness interesting and cinematic. And I think he's the best at that.
I picked Nosferatu.
There are screenings in LA recently of the original Nosferatu. That is shockingly watchable for a movie that is from 1922. If you haven't seen the original, I can guarantee you will love it.
Yeah, and also, if you don't know the lore behind the original Nosferatu, it's the film, which is basically a ripoff of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Stoker's widow sued to have the film sort of removed because of copyright infringement, and so copies of it were burned and destroyed, but some of them weren't destroyed, and that is why we still have prints of Nosferatu to this day. And actually, I believe if it had been destroyed, we wouldn't have a lot of the elements of the vampire myth that exists, because Nosferatu invents the fact that sunlight sort of kills vampires. In the Dracula text, in the original Bram Stoker novel, Dracula's walking around during the day like it's nothing.
Having tea. Yeah. It's a beautiful day, said Dracula. Try and kill me.
Also, if you have not read the original Dracula, you will be shocked to find out that this is really a book about real estate. It's selling Transylvania.
Which I'm sure has been pitched. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me they haven't gotten in a room with Andy, please.
And my last was Evil Does Not Exist.
Oh, and why did you pick that?
I think that this could end up being a foreign language pick. It is a Japanese film, and it is described as Takumi and his daughter live in Misubiki village close to Tokyo. One day, the village inhabitants become aware of a plan to build a glamping site near Takumi's house, offering city residents a comfortable escape to nature. It's getting really good reviews. I think it could be one of those films that we're all talking about come award season.
Okay, I'm looking forward to exactly that conversation.
Things that are popping up in the award season, I did see Queer this weekend as well.
Oh, you did? What did you think?
I think that this is maybe one of my least favorite Luca films.
Oh, well, you know what? He kind of can be all over the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there are some that are sort of unassuming. Some are movies we fucking love, Also, I do have to say, don't you kind of wish Challengers came out now?
Yeah.
It would be an interesting rock to throw into the pile of prestige this year. It definitely feels like no other movies. And I feel like it's already out of the conversation. I mean, I don't know. Is there a last minute Josh O'Connor pull? I have no idea.
I'm glad that we kicked off the year with Challengers, to be honest, because we needed it, I feel like. But it would be great to have it now. I don't know. Daniel Craig is amazing in it. Leslie Manville is going to shock you. She is giving an intense ass performance. Jason Schwartzman gives an amazing comic performance in this. I wanted to see him on screen all the time.
Wow. And also because he was just in Megalopolis, where of course he made me upset. And Leslie Manville, Mrs. Harris Goes to the Mat. Let's go. I am ready.
Both of them, by the way, are unrecognizable almost in this film.
Oh, but remember when Leslie Manville was Amy Winehouse's mother in the movie, whatever that's called, Back to Black?
Yeah.
Baffling. I know that check wasn't huge. Come on, Leslie. What an insane choice.
The film's just very surreal, and it reminds me a lot of, people are saying it's something, Luca doing something different. It reminds me a lot of Suspiria, in a way, in that Luca is doing a lot.
I saw that movie with our mutual friend, Joel Buck, and there are, of course, lovely performances in Suspiria. That made me a Dakota Johnson believer, but otherwise, that movie made me literally itch. I wanted to get the fuck out of there.
And then when the horror movie is all over, it's here's 30 more minutes of a movie that you didn't really care about.
Yeah, right. No. Also, by the way, it starts with way too much of the Chloe Grace Moretz scene, even though she's good in that scene. Anyway.
I feel like that's our award season preview. We have a lot more films that we'll be talking about during this award season. Lewis's favorite season.
Season's greetings, bitch.
When we're back, keep it. We're back with our favorite segment of the episode. It is Keep It. Lewis, what's your Keep It this week?
Okay, my Keep It is to the movie Saturday Night, the Saturday Night Live movie directed by Jason Reitman about the first episode of Saturday Night Live. But it's not because I actually would say I hated the movie. If when you go and see it, it's really just about like an immersive experience. Like, here's what it's like walking around at SNL when everybody's fraught and like putting the show together, and there's accidents and these cast members who sometimes don't even know what they're doing there. I really enjoyed Lamorne Morris playing Garrett Morris, who is talking about how he comes from this prestigious background and has no idea why he's doing these sketches with these random people. And he has a funny moment, in fact, with the first musical guest on SNL, who is Billy Preston, played by Jon Batiste. They have a fun back and forth there. That said, my problem with this movie is I don't think the first episode of SNL is that interesting. And also, it takes a couple years before that show like hits its stride. Chevy Chase does take off right away, but basically the point of this movie is: did you know it was busy backstage at Saturday Night Live? And my answer is yes. I like. In fact, I feel like every TV show that's ever been created is in some way or another this busy backstage. And then there are a couple of things that just don't make sense. Like Lauren disappears to a bar for a second, or he recruits a writer last minute who's writing jokes for a hacky comic. Like, it feels a little convenient, some of these things. And also, it's a movie that's a little bit like Steve Jobs, where it's about what happens before the show goes on. And so there's this sort of like anticipation for something you don't even get to see, really. But my problem here is I feel like there are a lot of interesting stories about Saturday Night Live that should be unearthed. Something I'm curious about: how does someone like Molly Shannon become a star on SNL? As like a completely weird person who is from her own orbit, has no choice but to be the kind of strange alien she is. How does she work through the mechanism of SNL to like, which is like a coterie of male writers, I'm sure. Like, how does she get from outside cabaret performer to star of SNL? I just feel like that requires a lot of glad handing, a lot of interesting like social machinations, in addition to being a genius, which of course she is. So I feel like SNL, like I'd be more curious to watch a movie about like the failing seasons of SNL, where after Gilda and all those people leave, they bring in this like completely new cast members, and then it takes until Eddie Murphy comes around for it to springboard back to life. I'd be more curious about something like that than just here's the show beginning and Lauren saying a whole bunch of things that he could not possibly have known at the time. Like, we're hoping for a show that like, breaks these boundaries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, it's talking too much like the future is responding to the past, as opposed to this person is living in that moment. And also, in that movie, somebody refers to something as iconic, and somebody refers to something as some other term from exactly 2024. Come on, let's commit to it's 1975. How does Valerie Harper talk? That's how I want to hear people in this movie talk.
It's believing its own myth and also not giving you something that's interesting to watch. It's sort of giving you this triumph. I would love that idea that you said, but it would not be something that SNL would particularly probably want to put out there.
Right,
If you had a season of here are the rejects, and then it probably ends with, oh, Eddie Murphy joins. It's like this B team being like, oh, maybe we will get revered and people will like us. Then it's, no, actually no one did until Eddie Murphy came here.
But again, there's a million stories about SNL. I mean, it could be, you could go to any era. Chris Farley coming back to the show as guest host right before he died. I'd be fascinated in a movie about that. I feel like we're going to have a
biopic of him. Even
I feel like we're going to get that. Like, it feels crazy to even ask out loud for that.
James, right?
Yeah, I mean,
because you called him our new Chris Farley, didn't you? In Movie Line, you did that.
Oh my God, you have too good a memory. Yes, I wrote clickbait once upon a time. Those days are behind me. Most of that's been scrubbed from the internet, thankfully.
Honestly,
anyway.
give us a
or Phil Hartman, the story of Phil Hartman. That's another, of course, insane story.
Give us a one-act play about Sinead's episode.
Right. I had heard once upon a time we were supposed to get an episode of, a biopic of her with Saoirse Ronan that culminates in that tribute to Bob Dylan, where like Chris Christopherson leans in her ear and says, "Don't let the bastards get you down," but we never got it. So
my Keep It is about the new TV show starring one of our favorites, Charlie Puth.
This is a man we have a disease called standing for. We have stand this man.
Now, he has a new show called The Charlie Puth Show, which is on the Roku channel. And my Keep It is to the fact that it's on the Roku channel, and I feel like it's barely being promoted. And you didn't even know about it.
I'm me. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm here to know. I'm here to know the Charlie truth about Charlie Puth. And what are you doing? Not giving it to me.
I don't have Roku. I watched 2 episodes with him, and I went home and I have Apple TV, and I'm like, now I can't watch the rest of the show.
Charlie, forsooth. How am I going to get this show?
But the show is actually very funny. The concept of the show is it's a reality, quote, reality show that's a comedy. It's about him creating a reality show, but it's actually a scripted comedy series.
So it's getting a little into like Unreal, if Unreal were like a comedy, yeah.
Yeah, but it's basically a scripted comedy show about him trying to make a reality show about his life. And the first episode has like Will Ferrell in it.
What?
Yes, it has La Roche in it. It's like he calls up some of the Real Housewives to ask them for advice on how to be in a reality show. It's really, really funny. I was cracking up.
Does this mean he's like acting then? How would you say the acting is?
I honestly think he's a fun comedic actor.
Okay. I love this turn for him. So
he's a good straight man.
And we've long said that, yes. As good as they can be, which is C+. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's really enjoyable. There's 6 episodes.
All right. Wow, and also Roku channel, which means I have to find a stick or something.
I know. I think also, is Roku a move
Can
from
I look
Street
to the
Fighter?
sky and that's where it is? Say what? No. That would be Ryu. Yes. Yeah.
Look to the sky. It's not the Reading Rainbow theme song, Louis.